BionicDance!
Greetings, fellow space travelers. BionicDance here. So today's video is a little more off the cuff than what I usually do. I usually have a pretty tight script that I stick to. You've seen the bloopers, and I have the green screen set up. But today I'm kind of phoning it in because there's something that's been on my mind, like recently in the last week or two, coupled with the Notre Dame fire, is part of what finally inspired this video. And it's just been bugging me, and I need to get it out, and I really don't feel like doing the whole script. In fact, I'm not going to charge my Patreon patrons for this, because like I say, I'm kind of phoning it in. I mean, unless you tell me I'm being a chowderhead, and I totally should. But whatever. Point being, like I say, I've been watching The Big Bang Theory a lot while I work on a big animation project. And oh, by the way, I do have a really big animation project on the horizon. And if any of you have a decent mic, that's very important, and you think you have some acting chops, I might put out a casting call soon. We'll see. It's looking pretty good, but like I say, we'll see. Anyway, point being that part of the Big Bang Theory theme talks about, like, we built the pyramids, we built a wall, and like all math, science, history, all of that. And it made me think about human achievement and all of the people that were long before me, before any of us, and everything that they achieved. And now, okay, I'm not really the world's hugest fan of the Notre Dame Cathedral. It's just not my thing. I don't hate it. I don't think it's necessarily funny that it burned down, although there have been some pretty amazing memes. But it's just, I'm largely indifferent. Why? Because when I was little, I mean, I was a year and a half old when Star Wars first came out. The United States Space Program, NASA, was still something people were kind of excited about. There were shuttles now instead of the old rockets and all of that, and it was really cool. And one of my favorite books when I was little was You Will Go to the Moon, right? It's all about this kid who just takes a trip to the moon. It's really cool, and it's actually a very old book, but this has new artwork for it. And also, like, Klutz, which is about a kid and his robot, right, and all of that stuff. To me, the future was much more impressive than the past. And so when people look at Notre Dame and they say, wow, that was such a beautiful place before it burned down, I'm like, to me it's just old. If I were to look at a beautiful building, my first thought would be, well, for real buildings, something like the Space Needle in Seattle, or there's something that's called the Sculptured House, the Sculptured Home, I can't remember, but it's been used in a lot of movies. It's very sleek and futuristic looking. I think it's really cool. But point being that despite all of its history, despite everything, the architecture of the Notre Dame Cathedral just never really gave me that inspirational feeling the way, say, Cloud City on Bespin did from The Empire Strikes Back. But still, it's caught up in that whole thing about all that history. And I think about what it must have taken to build that place. Or, like the theme song said, the Great Wall of China, strong backs built that. People did that. Someone had to design it. And they were putting in all of that effort. People died making those things, I'm sure. And then there's all the various wars, good and bad, that people have fought, all of the scientific achievement, everything. And here we all are, a product of that. Like all of that helped to build us. And then I think about where we could go, where the human race could head if we could get control of some of the abuses we're putting on this planet and ourselves. I think about all of that achievement. And then I think about religious people who say, well, look at this, the God had to build it. I'm like, how dare you? How dare you? Look at all of the people that had to live and die to make all of this happen, to make sure that I could have a first world to be born into, that I could have computers and webcams and the internet, that I could dream of going to the stars, and maybe even consider it a possibility. Seems unlikely. I might have been born way too early for that, but who knows? To think about just the fact that my biggest worry is, will I make it to game night or will I be late? Things like that. I'm not scrounging for food. I'm not worried unduly about diseases because we've cured most of the diseases, or at least we have vaccines for them, and we're working on curing the new ones, and all of that stuff, all of these things, like, I don't have to worry, like, oh my gosh, they're cutting my lesbian head off today because I live in the wrong country. I live here, and how amazing is that, right? And all of it has to do with human achievement, every last scrap of it. And you get those religious people who go, well, no, this is all God's doing. How dare they? How dare they take away from all of that achievement, all of what was done to make this world what it is? And I mean, sure, we have problems still. This is by no means a perfect world, but still, when I try to be amazed by something, when something fills me with awe and a sense of wonder, religion has nothing to do with it. In fact, religion has the opposite to do with it, because how much of religion has destroyed important advances or slowed down important advances because they don't fit in with the superstition. It's just insane to me. Now, like I said, I do have problems, but some of them have been solved. Many of you have been following my whole epilepsy drama over the last several years. And back in October, again, human achievement, I had brain surgery that seems to have cured my damn seizures. Seriously. Like, I've actually been... My seizures were triggered by food. And, like, certain specific foods would cause seizures because they would make my veins clench. And I've told the story before. Go look for it. But point being that because they had a laser that could zap me in the head meats and get rid of that, well, they call it a cavernous malformation. It's a fucking hole is what it is. Get rid of that in my head. I can now eat, like, I've been eating chocolate, which isn't allowed. I've had caffeine. Again, not allowed. Pork, not allowed. Those are all on the verboten list. But because of that surgery, here I am, and I've been seizure-free since October. Like 6 months. How cool is that? Right? And they want to tell me that a god had something to do with it? That my neurosurgeon didn't go to medical school for ages? Didn't pay student loans through the snout to get to be where she is? That my neurologist, who diagnosed me, that his achievements and the achievements that led up to it, they don't matter. It's all glory to God. Seriously? How dare you? How dare you? That's just... I don't get offended easily. I get grouchy about things. I can be quite vehement or passionate, but that is offensive. Taking away from all that human achievement, it's not okay. It's not right. And I wish there was something that could be done about it beyond talking like this, but hey, I'm not gonna, engage in mind control or anything, even if we did have that technology. I'm not that much of a wank stain. I'm willing to bet that there's religious people out there who would use mind control, like, put a helmet on someone, now you believe in God, but I'm not gonna do it. If I had the means. I am rambling, aren't I, at this point? It's just... This is something that, like I say, watching The Big Bang Theory and hearing that theme song over and over and over, and then seeing this cultural artifact burned to the ground, it has been making me think for the last several days about this. And it's just something I had to get out. So, until next time, fellow space travelers, this is BionicDance.